Hi there, it's Tracy Cratter from Splash Fabric. Welcome to August Fabric of the Month Club, where we take the guesswork out of what to make. So this month, summer is waning. I'm very sorry, but also back to school is coming. So this month we are doing something slightly different. We have a pattern that I did, a lunch sack, and I added a pocket to it this time. This is something we haven't done before. And we have that pattern, and we also have a pattern for these cute little sandwich bags. And this pattern is made by Audra of So Dreamy. She's a new pattern designer, and I wanted to feature her so that you could be introduced to the kind of fun stuff she's doing. She also has a podcast, and I've really enjoyed listening to her podcast. Just all about sewing. How you feel when you sew, what you like to sew, how you deal with problems, how you get time, all those things. So this month we have 4 pieces of fabric, and I think they all are mix and match, and they're cute together, and they look very lunchy. And so this is gonna be a fun one. And there's 2 options for things to make, and also whether you add pockets or not to this, how many of these, of which sizes that you make. We're going to give you a few different options as we go. I also had enough left over to make an adorable little zipper pouch. So that was fun too. Okay, so basically I have my 4 pieces of fabric here. Cats, ladybugs, kale, and strawberry. And I cut them, I evened up the edges so that it's just 18 inches across. And this bag, the lunch bag, is going to get cut out of this bottom piece here. And so this lunch sack is 11 inches wide. As you can see, it's 11 inches wide, and it's 24 inches long. If you're making the pockets, you also add 8 inches to that end. The pocket's 8, this is 24, so this is 32 inches. And what I'm gonna do is just cut straight up here. So, because this part here will make a couple of these bags. So what I will do is just have this 32-inch long strip that is 7 inches wide, and that's going to be close enough. She calls for 7.5 inches, but you're not going to get that out of what's left of this fabric. This will be the lunch sacks, 2 lunch sacks with a pocket. And this we will cut in half because I like to have these bags. You can make one of these bags out of this piece of fabric. That makes one bag, or you can make them mix and match, which I actually kind of enjoy. So I'm going to put the 2 sides together and reverse how they get made. I'll show you that in a sec. So that's one set of lunch sacks. Snack bags. They'd be they're great for snacks, but they're also good for electronics or anything you want to keep kind of tidy and dry. I don't know, the elastic is not going to be waterproof, but it is going to hold the moisture in if you have grapes in here or something that you want to keep cold. We have this bit left over, and that's the remainder after we made those bags. And you have some choices here. What I'm going to do is just make some sandwich bags here out of this. So I'm going to make them just like she says. I'm going to make them 8.5 inches wide and So this is just showing you that there's 2. You could probably even get 3 out of this, right? Yes, you could. Okay, not very helpful. Okay, the final step for cutting out is that we have to cut out these box corners, the box bottom corners for the bottom of the bag. And the way we do that is we measure over 2¼ inches. I'm using a 1/4 inch seam here. The seam goes down this side and the fold is on the bottom. And so you only need 2 inches up, but you need 2¼ inches over because this part is folded and this part is going to be sewn. So you need to account for the seam allowance. So you add a little bit there. You add 1/4 inch because I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I have all these 4 fabrics and they are cut. They're just cut to the outside, the body shape. And then I'm going to take my little handy dandy ruler that has it. I just really like it because it goes right here, up 2 inches from the fold and over 2¼ from this raw edge that's going to become the seam allowance, right? So there. And then the same thing on this side, go up 2 and over 2¼ so like that. These tend to wobble, so I'm going to use my weight. This is my grandfather's notary stamp, but it makes a great weight. It's for real estate, and he was a notary back in the 20s, 30s, I think. Now these are cut out, and what you'll do is you'll fold them flat, unfold them. And then we're going to sew the top down on these pockets, just the top edge and top stitch. And then I'll show you how to put the pockets on. So now remember, pockets are optional, but if you're putting them on, you are going to put them 1 inch up from these cutouts at the bottom. So I sewed the pocket top and bottom on the outside down, and I'm going to do a system that's not on our diagram, but it was something that we did for the string bag that was last month, and I thought it was kind of a cute detail. So here's the top of the pocket sewn down 1/2 inch like your pattern shows, and I will take just 1 layer of the fabric, the outside layer, so it matches, and on the outside I will pin this pocket. I want 1 inch up here because you don't want it getting caught in when you sew this box bottom closed, and you'll see that in a minute. And I think what I will do this time is top stitch this bottom really close to the edge, and so it'll have this kind of double stitching detail. Woohoo, so fancy. You could do that along the top too, but don't sew it closed on the top because this is going to be the top. And what I will do is just fold it over and then finger press here. And our fabric is such that you can see that when you're sewing. So that'll be the line of stitching for the middle of the pocket. And then on the inside, I didn't do the fold over detail, but I will pin this down to one side of the bag. We'll put the outside one on the front and we'll put the inside one on the back because I think that makes a nice little bag style because you're always digging in your bag and looking towards the back. That's how our Seattle bags are too. So finger fold that so that we have that line. And now I will sew down one side, across the bottom, up this side, and then along the middle. So the handles, I cut 2 12-inch pieces of webbing, and see how they kind of fray like this? These are nylon. They're 1-inch webbing, nylon, and those make great handles. I use them for everything. I don't know if you've noticed, but I use them for everything. I like the one and done technique. You buy a bunch of the fabric and then don't worry about it. So now we're going to pin these on at 5 inches, 2 inches and 5 inches. So now we're going to start sewing the zipper on. That's all set. And next step is to do your zipper. So this step is sewing the side seam. We're going to sew down one side of your bag, and these are pinned on and they will match at the top. And so we're going to go put these two sides together on one side of the bag and just sew down this one side. It's as easy as that. And like I say, I keep a narrow 1/4 inch seam, and I go back and forth where I feel the top of the pocket, because you don't want the pocket coming out. And I sewed deep enough over so that the top stitching before to put the pocket on isn't showing. Okay, this step is sewing on the zipper. So the zipper has teeth, and what you want to do is put these teeth upside down. Let's go to this end. You want the end so that it goes along the top of the bag. So you put the teeth, here's the teeth, that's the teeth, and they're bumpy on this side. So you put that side down and put the top of the tape right along this edge. And I am going to unpin this. You can sew these handles down if you want first, but I don't. I'm not much of a pinner or a clipper. I just sort of hold it in place and go. But you can do it what works for you. I'm going to put a clip here just for the sake of showing you what I'm doing. And then we're going to just finger fold this seam sort of flat and go ahead and put another clip here and another one here. Perfect, easy peasy. And then we have a lot left over here. We won't worry about that. We'll just chop it off once we get to that point. Okay, so you put the side of the presser foot along the bump of the zipper. Now the big bump, the teeth are down and you see just the flat tape, but there's kind of a bump where these teeth are. And so I just go against that bump and I just start sewing. And I double stitch where the handles are, because you want that to be not pull out. That's why we're also going to top stitch it, so it's going to have at least 2 lines of stitching holding it on. Okay, just flatten this side seam to one side or the other, it doesn't matter. So this is the top of the bag, and this side ended up, this is hanging out just a little bit proud, but it doesn't really matter. It's all good. So now you're going to finger fold this flat, and we're going to top stitch right there. I just cut the zipper pull, the zipper tape off, so it's at an angle. And you'll see, I think it makes it easier to put this thing on. There's different ways that people do it, and this is how I do it. So I line up the edges of these bags, these sides of the bags together, and then I kind of get an idea of where the zipper goes. So now I have the zipper pull, and I'm putting it so the rounded side, the openings go on to where the zipper is. I turn it upside down, and then this round side goes towards the zipper tape, and I feed this one side on until it's about, oh, I cut it off pretty long. So I put it so that the middle of the zipper pull body is about even with that end that I chopped off. So now I'm going to line them up flat with each other, and then push this one in. And this is where I like to have this end to hang on to. So I'm hanging on to both sides at once. And then I want to make sure that these are going to be lined up this way. And then I just push, give it a little push and pull the zipper, and now it's on. And that's all there is to it. I think this, having these little handles helps. So mine is off by a 1/16 of an inch, and I'm just not even going to worry about that. So now I'm going to take this, and it might be helpful to clip it here so you know, so this stays, so one side comes up and then the top is flat and then the other side goes down. So the zipper itself will remain at the top of the bag. Does that make sense? So then I will take the bottom and flip it over so I can put it in the machine and sew the other side. We are so almost done. This is a really cute bag. I'm really happy that we're making these. I haven't made them for a while. Okay, go back and forth where the top of the zipper is. And then I scoot it over and do another line of stitching just to make sure that zipper never comes undone. And now we'll chop this off. These scissors are terrible. They don't work. Maybe this works better. Actually, it does, huh? Okay. So that's the end of the zipper. And the last thing to do is to flatten out these corners at the bottom and make them flat. You just put your fingers inside of the corners, and pull. And then there you go. So you take and pull that out. And then sew along the diagonal here, which is the square box corners. Does that make sense? There we go. One down. I always feel a little guilt when I pull it to rip the threads off, but you know, not that much guilt. I'm over guilt. I don't think guilt serves us, do you? So then you just fold this to one side or the other. It doesn't really matter. And I double stitch kind of in the middle. I don't know why. But you would definitely double stitch at the ends, because that'll make that never come off. Huh? There we go. Okay, now our bag is done. So we turn it inside out. And it is real cute. Look at that. Very cute. Okay, pack it up. You'll even fit your water bottle. It's really tall. Okay. Have fun with that. Okay, guys, I'm going to make the cutest, quickest zipper pouch ever. I take a piece of zipper, I cut it off so that one side is angled in. And I have 2 pieces of fabric. This is just leftover from a project. Front and back, strawberry on the inside, kale on the outside. I start by setting the zipper. I put it along the top of the bag. I put the teeth down. I put the edge of the zipper. This is only half a zipper, mind you, up on top. And I get it lined up, And sew it. Okay, finger press the top stitch. Now I set the zipper, put the zipper pull on. Here's the zipper. I put the rounded side towards the body of the bag and start on one side, the long side, put the zipper pull on that side. When I get to right about the middle of the zipper pull with that notch, with that end, then I open it up and feed that side on. Then I pull from these tabs and then I pull the zipper on. Oh, that's not lined up. So I'm going to take it out and do it again. Let's see. I need to go a little closer. There. You want to have the edges of your bag fairly lined up. Okay, this little loop, we're going to cut it like this. And put the ring in. Melt these ends together. Squeeze them together a little bit so they're melted together. Okay, now this assembly is done. And we put that inside the corner of the bag. The top corner, I like it nice and high. And then you can put a little pin there to hold it in place. And now we're going to stitch the edges. And I cut it off. Cut this off. And that was it. That's a whole little bag. To me, you have little point turners. I don't even have one of those. I just work it. I work it out. There we go. How cute is that? Done.
I'm going to show you how to make these sandwich and snack bags. They have a Velcro enclosure and they're made with laminated cotton, so they're easy to wipe and clean. And if you need to, you can throw them in the wash. And we're going to use some of our scraps for this project. Cut your 2 pieces below and your hook and loop tape. Now we're going to start to assemble the bags. You're going to fold your pieces right sides together and clip them. Make sure to leave 4 inches open on each end. I remind myself by putting a clip on it. Sew all the way around your bag. Clip the corners on each of your bags. Now turn them right side out and push out all of the corners. Fold the opening edges inside so that when we do our top stitch, you'll sew that shut. Make sure to press all of the air out of your bags before you top stitch. Top stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. You'll see here that I didn't quite catch that fold, so I'll do another stitch. Now we're going to attach the Velcro. Start by pulling your pieces apart and place the first piece 1 inch from the bottom. Stitch Velcro on with a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Flip your bags over and attach the other pieces of Velcro on the back side 1/2 inch down from the top. Fold both pieces up 2.5 inches from the top edge. Clip both sides together, and then we're going to sew down the sides with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I just sewed over that top stitch. And now you have your bags. They're all done.